difficulty gauging those numbers because they hide out under the trees and behind buildings, they find a shade, or they pull up in the parking lot or along the streets. And many people listen from the decks of their home. And they would tell me about that from several blocks away. So getting an exact number is kind of difficult, but we do a rough count every Sunday, and then I total that up. So we continue to receive positive feedback in regards to our selection and variety of our artists. And it's evident by the amount of gratuity that comes in each week. We were very clear at the beginning that the gratuity is simply voluntary. People don't have to. We say that they're being paid by the town, but if they wish to give a gratuity to the, I'll collect it and give it directly to them. And what I found was the gratuities were up this year. People were very generous, and our musicians they're really humbled by it. They're quite taken back. They feel very well treated here and very much appreciated. And it's one of the reasons why when we call for professional musicians, Hanna's becoming a favorite spot to them, and they're talking to other musicians. And so it's seen as a great place to come, beautiful park, and people treat them well. So that's, I think, rewarding for our community. Staff support is necessary and appreciated. This support includes the pre-season work in promoting and advertising, and Laura's department does a great job in that, and we appreciate it. It ran very smoothly with setup and takedown of the tents each week, and the park was always exceptional. A week didn't go by where people made comments about how beautiful the park were and how well cared for and maintained it is. I know volunteer hours are always when you attend events like that, you think it happens by magic. And I love that that's the way people think it happens by magic, but it doesn't. And so when I looked at how many hours are put into that program, it's a commitment, to put it lightly. So our sound tech puts in about 50 hours, and that's an average of 4 hours per week and prep time. So sometimes he's got special requests. He's got to get different equipment for different musicians, but he's there early. He's there by 2, 3 o'clock, and he's there 6:30 still loading up, and he's got to take it all home and put it away after. So it's not like it just miraculously shows up on stage and musicians use it and then it's gone again. In terms of my role as coordinator and host, approximately 125 hours or more. So I start early. The Seniors Council hits that button on the go. I start early and contacting the musicians, and I'll contact them on an average of 5 or 6 times at least, minimum. So I connect up with them, ask them if they're interested, get a bit of an outline, work the dates. It takes some going back and forth. Every musician has a contract. That contract comes back to your CAO for signing, and I make sure that the honorarium for the musicians is equitable and appropriate. And the CAO then signs that contract. The musician signs it, gets scanned and put back into your files, put on record, and given to your accounts payable for payment. And all that's done by the end of March, so that we have that down, and we also have down the advertising to make it easy.
Yeah, I just want to move you a little bit this way. The camera's
not picking up.
No,
I think it might have to move the same.
You can't see through other people.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. So in total, we've got about 175 hours of volunteer time, and it is a labor of love. And I don't want to speak for Will, but I'm certain I can, that he enjoys it. There's no hesitation when I ask him. We kind of like working together, well together. So just wanted to let council know if there was any questions in regards to the amount of the commitment or the time, that you're definitely aware of it. We are able to set our community apart from others by providing a unique cultural opportunity for all to enjoy, which is very positive for both local residents and those outside the community. At a time when much of our services and resources are being directed towards critical social needs, it's easy to lose sight of the importance of positive community building opportunities. Events or functions that bring people together to enjoy or experience a collective positive experience. There is a direct impact upon positive mental health, socialization, and well-being for all those who choose to attend. They leave with smiles on their faces, and it's wonderful to see. I want to thank Council and Mayor for your continued support of this great program. On behalf of both you and myself, I would like to thank you for your confidence and respect shown to both of us to take the lead in Music the Park. There is no doubt that it requires a lot of work and preparation and setup, along with the commitment of being there each week, every Sunday afternoon. But seeing the positive results and bringing such outstanding talent to our community to enjoy makes it all worthwhile. Thank you for allowing us to be your ambassadors.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to bring forward to Ms. Snell?
Yeah. So front row center is not involved in Music in the Park, correct?
No.
And why is that?
Front Row Center was not up and running when that Music in the Park started.
Okay.
And I'm now a member of Front Row Center. It is a volunteer organization, but they're not, because we just haven't got the volunteer levels of being involved. And we're just getting going. We're just nicely starting on some events and getting things going. So that's what's that. Doesn't mean it has to go all under one group or organization. There's definitely connections between.
When I spoke to the creative director of Front Row Center, I was asking about this program, and she seemed to indicate that it was that Front Row Center could take that on as opposed to just an individual.
Well, the artistic director you're speaking of is Angie Wallach, and there's been no desire within the board to take it over. It was discussed at a board level, and the chairman, it's running fine as it is. We have enough on our plate. Why do we need to have our fingers in everything? We can't. And it is a commitment to be there each and every week. And it's not, and I can speak from experience, it's not something you can have a different volunteer do every week. So you're working with different staff, and you have to have somebody that's aware of how the program works and what's required. There's staff are great, but there's lots of times I've showed up there and needed to go get extra water, or the staff have locked the washrooms too quickly before the events close. And I've had to stop them and say, oh, we still have people leaving. And you need to be aware of that. And so that just comes from my experience running events for 35 years and being involved in community services and doing larger events. So if you have a different volunteer there each week, it will change the flavor. Not impossible, but it changes the flavor for sure. Having said that, last summer when I was unable to attend, I had Kathy Watts come up, and she's one of those people that's there every week with me, and is well aware of the program and how it operates. So other than, there's a few of us regulars, but there's people that come once or twice a year and come and go. So, and I would say that's the same. I know the members on our like on Front Row Center, and a lot of them go away for the summer and aren't around, and that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Front Row Center is a nonprofit, is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But Music in the Park is not.
Music in the Park was started through our FCSS department, and it actually started through Blue Cross fund for COVID, and it was looked at getting people out and getting people socializing again, and so that's how we were able to get it going. And as a result of that, we ended up with an individual business owner that came in and donated substantial money. I believe Councillor would remember that happening. So Big Country Construction came up with a very large donation. So yeah.
And there's no desire to become a nonprofit
For
Music in the Park.
It's operated through the town. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm just sharing this so other people are aware. And
the FCSS has a mandate to provide those. So it doesn't mean that Front Row Center has to run every music performance that happens in town.
Right.
Nor do our volunteers have the capacity for that.
Right.
We're just on the verge of We just finished a Starry Night Cafe on Saturday night at the Legion. We're looking at partnering with groups, and we've done that very successfully. So good for the Legion, good for us. They run the bar, we run the events. We're all happy. Next event will be our Elton Miami Garth Brooks Tribute Night, which we've already sold 28 tables to for December 14th. And so as a volunteer for people like Peggy Rehill and myself, you can only, Angie runs the Jamboree. That's a big 3-day event in the summer. That will conflict with Music in the Park on that particular Sunday. So it doesn't have to be all. We're not into Empire Building at the Frontwood Center, and just speaking as a member, but it doesn't mean that we're the only one doing arts any more than Hanna Steels is the only one swimming in the swimming pool.
I just brought that up in the sense of, as far as the funding and that sort of thing, relying on FCC funds and grant money from the town and that sort of thing. So that's where there is differentiating between Music in the Park and Front Center. So
Front Center could not afford to run Music in the Park.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, we don't have the budget. We don't even have that much cash in our account to float that program financially. So, is it a good visible program? Absolutely. Does it mean the town needs to back away from it? No. I think I feel passionate that town needs to be seen and viewed in a positive manner as doing something for your residents in a positive way. There's no corner market on that, and it can be shared by lots of groups. We need lots of variety in our community.
May I?
Sure.
Yeah, just from an FCSS standpoint, I think the programs run really well. We're very grateful to our volunteers that do a lot of the legwork for that. I know I said to Matthew when we were first talking about this program when he first came that, we couldn't do it alone as staff to do this sort of a program. So it's been a great partnership with our volunteers that have been committed to come. I think Lori would agree that we've got it down to a well-oiled machine now of how it works with promotion and with summer staff that help out with the volunteers and things like that, it's been a success and we get positive feedback when we do hear from residents about Music in the Park, that it is, a free, family-friendly event that we get to have in the summer when the season is short to enjoy our outdoor green spaces. So
no, thank you very much. No, I was just trying to get more information for anybody outside as well. And anything I've heard from anybody has all been positive. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions?
Well, I'm not knocking the job you do. You do a wonderful job of what you do. The whole committee's do it, really. It's just, is there an opportunity for a nonprofit organization to maybe assist and can they get some funding out of it somehow?
There's no cash value in it, Fred. Like there's no dollar value to be made from it. It costs, as everyone knows, when you volunteer, there's a cost, and even that in my own pocket. That's why I was quite appreciative of the honorarium that council provided and the thank you. I felt quite honored and quite touched. A little bit hurt when it was questioned, I'll be honest, because you put out of pocket whenever you volunteer, as you know. You need an extra couple of bottles of this, take it down and you look after whatever needs to be done. You need to print off extra stuff, your printer goes, whatever happens. So it's not a money-making proposition. It's a good profile. Could we partner? In the recommendations, and I have an evaluation that I give to both Matthew and Michelle, in the recommendation is, I really wish we could tag something on like ice cream sales or something where there could be, make it a festive. Don't know how that would look, but there's an opportunity for nonprofits if they want to come each week, sell ice cream things, make a profit that way. Certainly, the first year we had it, we had some local young entrepreneurs running an ice cream business. And they showed up to sell their ice cream. So there's an opportunity for that, or if they wanted to do coffee sales. Like, I think you need to look at how you add on to it. Not unlike we did with Front Row Center, approaching the Legion to run our Starry Night Cafe. Our mandate is to promote arts in the community, not to run a bar.
Sure.
So we went to the Legion and said, you run the bar and you keep the proceeds, and we'll run the event. Both are happy. Is the Legion running the event? Well, they're not really bringing in their arts entertainment, but they're happy because it's happening at their facility. So I think there's an opportunity for nonprofits if they want to be involved in that type of a way. I hear from lots of communities that license their park and they have a wine service or a beer service. We've not wanted to go down with that. That's a town facility, a town event. Believe it, there's enough places to have alcohol. But I'm saying look outside the box. Instead of wanting to redo what everybody's already doing, look at what we can do to enhance and make it better.
Thank you very much, Brenda. And on behalf of the council, we'd like to thank you for your involvement and doing the work with music in the park, and greatly appreciate everybody involved. So thank you so much.
So just one quick comment, when in the area for improvement, it says you want to start like early January. And I see no reason why we couldn't in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We'll have all our budget decisions dealt with. I see no reason why you couldn't get that rolling.
And so you'll be coming forward with some requests for funding?
It would come through your department. They'll budget and do your budget with you, and then it'll be advised by your CAO what's available and direction from there. And work very closely with the CAO and Michelle in terms of what's even the start date. For example, one year we started July 2nd, and this year we didn't start till July 7th. And that was because we said, let's stick to July and August. So some years you have 9 Sundays, some years you have 8.
Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you very much, Gwen.
I wonder if I might digress and come up with a different subject just for council. Is that appropriate, or do you want me to sit down and come back up later?
If it's going to be short and sweet.
It is short. It's a personal comment in regards to purchasing policy. And just the mayor.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Under public presentation, maybe?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because we have these others as well. Okay, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Can we introduce Neil Woods? Are you prepared, Greg? I'm sorry. Can we make a motion to accept Gwen's presentation under the delegation to council?
I'll make that motion, Madam Mayor.
No, I'm acting. All in favor? Terry, thank you so much. Okay. Okay, now Neil, sorry. Thank you for your patience.
Notes here, but I also have these on a PowerPoint on the stick if we want to use them,
Okay.
just so.
I'm diseased.
Uh-oh.
So his USB might be too, how trustworthy.
Worse.
And do you want to introduce your associate member as well?
I'm this is Jeff Horta,
Okay.
proud parent
Yeah.
of two Hanna swimmers,
Okay.
and Darla Mickelson Wright, who is our club president and proud parent of the head coach and one of the associate coaches.
Welcome, and thank you so much for attending. Thank you.
This. Jasper.
Sure, I'll pass them around. Just I got like 6 here.
Thank you. Do you want to leave the rest for the others who are not in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you didn't get one. Is anyone else? Yeah.
We're loading. Sorry.
So thank you very much for having us come to this meeting today. Hanna Seals are looking into kind of a joint effort to replace the starting blocks at the pool. The current starting blocks are getting up there in age for sure. And we're a little concerned with the safety hazard because they are very slippery during swim times. And they're just kind of outdated now. They're just not modern anymore. Like what the rest of the club, what the club will use throughout the region that we represent, or that represents us. Okay, go to the next slide. So again, involves replacing the aging starting blocks at the pool. Will require financing of the new blocks as well as the installation, including the bases that they'll be attached to at the pool deck. If approved, Hanna Seals would work with the town, the pool operator, to determine installation options and how we're going to maintain the blocks moving forward. So, Hanna Seals, we are a member of the ASSA, which is the Alberta Summer Swim Association. We compete our season is from May 1st till almost the end of August. Usually we don't get into the pool until just after the May long weekend, so we're kind of 3 weeks behind there. But we seem to make it work. We emphasize on improvement, fitness, building self-esteem through sport, all while having fun. Our older swimmers are mentors, our coaches, and they provide positive role models for our younger swimmers. Again, while every swimmer isn't a provincial record holder, we all support the region and just want to have lots of fun. So Hanna Seals, actually, is it easier?
So do you want to?
Yeah. Okay, so the Hanna Seals offer both a learn to swim and competitive swimming opportunities to Hanna, the town of Hanna, and the surrounding regions. Club is mainly of kids and young adults of 4 to 20. We have actually this past season, we did have some of our parents actually participate in some of our events, even at the provincial level. Practices, we have practices usually Monday to Friday, 5 till 7. Our younger swimmers will start at 5, go till 5:30, 5:45, and then our main swimmers will continue on and usually are in the pool from 6 till 7. And we do host a swim meet in the middle of July, which is very well attended. We figure about 400 people between parents and competitors that come to Hanna from within the region, and because we're kind of out of the way for a lot of our clubs, they do come and spend the night in the hotel prior to the meet. So that's obviously a very good thing for the town. So the new diving blocks offer benefits that enhance both facilities functionality and community engagement. Modern blocks ensure safety, providing better grip and stability, which reduces the likelihood of accidents and reduces liability. The new blocks also are considered to have a longer lifespan. Replacing the blocks presents an opportunity to repair the pool's concrete deck, allowing for a stronger and more secure foundation. This upgrade will also address issues with bolstering, making it easier to remove the blocks during the off-season, which further reducing long-term operational costs.
Excuse me. So they are not left year-round, or right now, are they?
They're still in place right now. I
So
think we have only removed them once or twice.
So we go through every season except for this one. It was brought to our attention that the removal of the blocks was causing a bunch of strain on the cement and the structure. So because we were looking at new blocks, we agreed that we would leave them in place this year.
Okay,
The sundown over the winter is one tradition, but then I would have the pool that there over the winter.
thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Any questions at this point?
I do have one.
So if it's causing strain to remove them every year and you get new ones, you're not actually alleviating the strain issue because the new one strain to the same bolts. How are you
Yeah, we
replacing?
do need to redesign, so looking to redesign a platform or something so that you would leave that part in place and then you have your, some ever design that, town engineers would look at to alleviate, taking opportunity to reuse.
And
So part of the cost is not just the blocks now, it's a new platform. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
which will be coming up here momentarily, about engineering and all that.
Thank you.
Did you want to go ahead? Fred? Did you want to? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we draw about 400 swimmers and visitors to our annual meet. And a high quality diving block would position full to host additional swim meets if called for. We figure it would generate more revenue for the community through increased attendance and overnight stays. Overall, the replacement of the diving blocks will improve pool safety, maintenance efficiency, and its appeal for both regular youth organizers. So benefits to youth participants, learning to shallow dive off proper diving blocks is an essential skill that the Hanna SEALs teach. Benefits swimmers not only within the club, but various other water-based activities. It's in my swimming lesson. I'm properly diving. Mastering this technique is vital for both safety and performance, laying a strong foundation for success in competitive swimming and other aquatic endeavors. The projected cost, materials and delivery costs included would be 5 starting platforms, an anchoring system, and shipping and handling. The quote that we have received, and this is late August, so it's obviously expired, and we would have to go and get ourselves another quote. Could be some differences in price just between now and then, but is $32,739 from Aquam Aquatic Specialists. They are located in Montreal, I believe. We are looking for one other outfit out of Calgary that provides the same blocks, and obviously the shipping and handling is roughly $2,000, which that seems to be a little high, but that's something we're trying to find if there is somebody out there that's cheaper for that.
So it's something that can't be built here, like in Hanna, like no, for what reason?
Especially.
I think there's probably
Like, I mean, if you have an engineer drawing, it would not be built.
I've never thought of that, but I would imagine there is standards for blocks and
Yeah, these are insanely custom,
Yeah.
unique things, there isn't a standard. Standard something you can build, I would assume.
I would imagine there's specialty items that
Oh, absolutely.
you have to have certain criteria in order to qualify to be involved in the construction of the license and
just back to the end. So the installation cost estimate would depend on the town of Hanna's decision to engage an external contractor for installation and utilize internal staff resources. That would be basically reference in engineering and engineering out there. Okay, so this is our block. This is becoming a very popular block with a lot of swimming pools and swimming clubs. The back piece there actually slides back and forth so that the swimmer can choose where they want to place their back foot, which gives just an additional foot off, a little more of an advantage than our current system is just hang both toes over the edge. So non-slip surface and handles for the backstroke. Our current blocks have handles for the backstroke, so there's no difference there. The stainless steel equipment is equipped with an adjustable incline support and cabling system to connect timekeeping peripherals and media players, so that we could, hook up, speakers. Just so that to our starting system, we could span a speaker on the other side of the pool, so that everyone gets the equal sound effect from the starts.
And some of that, is some of that ability to due to, or will that also attract higher standard swim meets? Like being able to have that extra attachment and stuff, is that for higher caliber of participants as well?
That's why that's there, is for if you have someone who's hard of hearing, a
Okay.
swimmer who can't hear the starter,
Mhm.
make their to begin the race, and so that speaker would be there so they can hear it.
Okay.
I think that's probably what that.
Okay. Thank you.
And not so much these blocks, but the ones that we, at the Kinsman Center in Edmonton, that when we participate in provincials, they've actually got it so that, their timekeepers they got just plungers. So when they touch the end, they hit the plunger,
Mhm.
because we still have to do some of that manual stuff as a backup.
Yeah.
But so those plungers would be plugged in there, and they, for touch pads
Mhm.
on pools that have fancy touch pads, those are all attached to that.
Okay.
And even when they take off, it shows reacting. So that would all be plugged into these blocks. Not so much these blocks, but the real fancy ones that you would see at the Kinsman Center, or I believe it's the MMP Center in Calgary.
Gotcha.
So which is definitely what we're with.
So they don't have a flashing light that connects with the horn for starting?
The horn has its actual beacon on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For the hearing impaired.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we do use, in our regional competitions, we do have a cable that goes across, not so much plugs into the block, but we do use, speakers on the other end, especially this provincial competition. Each block has its own speaker on it.
Mhm.
So these would have the capability.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so. Okay, because the new starter blocks would become an asset of the pool facility and would be utilized by both the town of Hanna and special area residents, the Hanna Seals are proposing a funding arrangement involving financial support from the town of Hanna, special areas, and the Hanna Seals themselves. The Hanna Seals, as a nonprofit organization under the Societies Act, has submitted a grant application with the province of Alberta to fund $15,000 of the material and delivery cost. If unsuccessful, unsuccessful in receiving the grant funding, the Hanna Seals are still financially prepared to fund 1/3 of the project using the existing club funds.
What's your projected date to find out about that grant?
May 1st. March.
March 1st.
Yeah. It will be evaluated.
Yes, we committed just to November for the January to March.
Yeah, so usually a 6-month lag.
And do they require you to invest the money first before they'll pay out, or they pay up front?
We have to have the money in our account.
Yeah, it is a matching grant.
Yeah.
So
Okay, you have to prove you got
we
the
have
funds
to prove financially that we will be able to match.
and supporting.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the Hanna Seals are seeking financial support of the town from the town of Hanna to include 1/3, or we estimate about $11,000 contribution to the material shipping and handling as quoted, funding for any applicable pre-installation surveys and applicable installation costs.
So within these costs, that doesn't allow for the pad that you guys indicated for the concrete.
We are requesting funding for the town
To do the work
to
and
do the work and to whatever.
because it is a town facility.
It is a town
Yeah.
facility. So
Okay.
part of the funding request is,
So your 11,000 request is strictly for that.
cash to buy.
And then you, yeah. Right. So then we would look at any costs for that concrete pad to attach these two separate of this. Yes, thank you.
And Neil, just real quick, have you contacted special areas yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Jeff take that one.
You all probably know that I'm more than the special areas. Yeah, special areas, I think to do their funding in the fall, but we have a letter from the special areas rec board to the special areas board, in support of this, and so they'll work with us for their third of whatever the debt up to you.
Wonderful, thank you.
So
Okay, perfect, thank you. Any other questions?
Over and above the regular rec funding
I think so.
or as a part of it?
I suspect it'd be very similar like they've done in the past with the arena with the ice plant. When they kicked in for that, that was all over and above. It's,
Yeah.
We're okay.
Because the provincial grant will likely take many months, the Hanna Seals are seeking the town of Hanna's commitment to financially support the project in order to allow for an immediate initiation. Initiation of the production, delivery and installation of the starting blocks during the upcoming off-season months. This will ensure that the blocks will be ready for use in the spring of 2025, so the next swim season. Is our beloved team as of last year.
Thank you. Any other questions? I have a question. Is there any, have you ever thought of expanding to seniors or not?
Like, think it's fully open, isn't it?
Yes, we can run a master's program, but they do want to join us as a master's program.
Okay, I'm sorry that I did see masters in there. I just didn't know
Yeah,
what.
so our teaching program, through ASSA, when it's 25 and above that, well, actually age 18, and then you would move into the master program for anybody over that. At the moment, we don't have a lot of master students who be instructed. We're relatively full with our 2 hours of water time, but we definitely, later in the season, allow parents want to be master swimmers to come and swim with us. In our June timeframe, we're pushing probably 20 swimmers in each hour. Okay, 20, 25 swimmers in the water. We kind of do 2 blocks that we have. So,
So you're pretty much at capacity.
we're a bit at capacity for 2 hours, but then once we get into later July, our numbers as people go away holidays.
Yeah.
And then so we do open up to
Okay, I didn't realize that.
yes.
Yeah,
we do
I know
that.
there are.
We do have several master swimmers that we swim with. I'm they didn't get up on the blocks and dive and swim. Especially when it's one of the reasons why we are doing the blocks is to get bigger people. It's scary enough to be up there. You think, well, they're on this side of the ground, but to get off up that high and dive in, and ours are fairly wiggly. So not only are they slippery, but they're also wiggly compared to the other ones in the region. So it is time. These blocks, it wasn't in the presentation, but they were going to believe over 20 years old.
Yeah.
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 2006.
Yeah.
You got 18 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting out there.
It's probably about time.
So
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I won't keep you much.
So another thing I just found out yesterday is I called the grants department and they indicated that we do not have to wait to purchase these blocks, waiting on the grant approval. We can purchase them once we have the funds to purchase them immediately as long as the purchase date on the receipt is later than the submission date on the grant. That we could apply any grant to something that's already been purchased.
Okay. And so because this is an information meeting, we cannot make any decisions
Right.
until our actual council meeting, which is November, second Tuesday in November. And so we can bring this forward and for a vote,
Budget meeting.
yeah, and put it on the books anyways. And
And maybe another thing just to think about down the road is what happens if we are successful in getting the grant. What will we do with the grant money? How will we split this? So will we split, like return it a third to all organizations, town, special areas, and to the club? How will we divvy that up? Just to throw that out there.
Yeah, I just want to point out, when groups come ask for money, we always ask, you know, have you talked to other funders or your backup plan? You haven't done all that, and it's refreshing for somebody to come ask for money every 18 years. It's kind of nice. It makes it easy to spread out. If you want $11,000 over 18 years, consider it that way, is
And they're
pretty simple
willing
and
to,
appreciated.
willing to pay 30%.
Yeah.
so applied for a grant. You know, I think that is one of my things is what are you doing to help can cover the costs for this? So you guys are investing in something that is a public utility. And so that's greatly appreciated. And so I think thank you very, very much for your presentation, and we'll take your request forward to our budget meetings. And
Any last questions?
I'm looking like, is there anything else I should be asking?
Probably been one of the longest
Oh my
running
gosh.
clubs.
We ran 50 years? Around?
Well, and the number of people you attract to our
Well,
community, that's huge.
Rovers
So-
were the first one to organize it.
So one other not to do with this project, but a recommendation is every few years, at least once per term, show up and brag about what you guys have done, you know, how many are in the group, what you've won, just to be in everybody's face so that, I mean, we know you're there, but it'd be nice to see the.
Well, I personally, just in the past 3 years, I love to brag about this club. Like this.
It's been very competitive.
Before the last 3 years, we have won maybe 1 or 2 provincial medals
Wow.
in the previous 10 years. This year, we brought home 10.
Oh, holy moly.
We brought home 2 individual golds, an individual bronze, silver medal in a relay.
Wow.
And I believe 2 of our swimmers were competing as part of a regional relay. That's the best swimmers in a discipline, going to provincials from that region.
And this is competing against groups that have indoor pools too.
Absolutely,
And so they're swimming, they can swim year round, correct?
right.
And they do, and so ours are amazing in that aspect unless they're going elsewhere. So,
Starting in January, we'll be going down to Drum, my family.
Yeah.
We'll be going down to Drum so my son can swim at least once a week,
wow.
just so he can get on top of it.
So you guys are a very modest group, and yeah, I agree with Counselor. What's his name?
You know,
So I'm sure that's.
Proud of our group is our parents. Our parents step up huge.
Oh,
When we go to, other meets, we're almost always the first ones to volunteer for officiating. And everyone knows us as the club that officiates, the club that doesn't quit. Like,
yeah.
we love our club. We love the region. All our kids are such good friends with other kids from other clubs. It's just a wonderful family feeling that we endure.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Do you have a Facebook page?
We have a closed Facebook page, yes, it's closed because of course we like to post pictures of our swimmers and we just seem to keep it closed. For children.
Yeah.
Director.
Yeah.
Sorry, Director Armstrong?
Thank you. These are the good news stories that we love,
Yeah.
and I know that they're out there. I know that Seals has done wonderful things because I have friends and coworkers that have kids involved. But you guys don't celebrate your successes enough. And I know that's very typical of a not-for-profit in Hanna, but let us help you. So I would love to be able to include some of that information in our electronic newsletter. We don't have a weekly paper anymore, so we rely heavily on the groups to feed us that information. So take advantage of that free promotion, publicize your club, whether it's, you know, registration for members. We always try to get the, your eat. We try to promote that a little bit just so that if nothing else, locals know what's going on if they want to pop by, but even that sometimes we struggle to figure it out, you know, for a non-swimmer, what exactly does that mean and why I should attend. So yeah, photos, people love photos. If there's anything that we can do to help get the word out and help celebrate your successes, send it along to me and I can fit it in.
Yeah, it may help with volunteers if you're looking for volunteers for something outside of timing and, you know, something that the average fellow the actual person could participate in. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I guess we should be moving along, and thank you very much. Getting your name here, Neil Woods on your presentation, and can that be my motion? I'll make a motion that we thank Mr. Neil Woods and the other Hanna Seal member parents for participating in your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I have a?
Sure.
Yeah. Councillor Kyle. All in favor? I'm sorry. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Moving along, Community Services Board, Michelle.
Yes, thank you guys for having me today for your info session. Normally you get a little bit of information about what Community Services Board is up to, either through my written reports to council or through Councillor Thoreau's reports at meetings. But I haven't had a chance to come chat Community Services Board with you guys in a while. So just wanted to take the opportunity today and really with a focus on kind of two of the key roles that the Community Services Board does as an advisory board to council, and looking for a little bit of direction on those. So one of those duties is our annual fee review. So as you guys are aware, Community Services Board does the review of all the recreation fees, comes up with a recommendation, brings it to you guys for approval, and then we implement that at the town level. I know over the past couple of years, council has had some that they haven't been comfortable with doing increases on. I think you guys have all been mindful of, you know, cost of living and pressures for our residents of wanting to keep recreation affordable. And that in mind, wanting to discuss a bit about that fee review process. If you guys think annually is too often for increases to be coming forward. I know we've had board members before request, is there a percentage of increase we should be looking at annually, you know, that keeps up with operating costs, but is mindful of what residents can afford. So they're just kind of looking for some direction from council, I guess, of frequency of those reviews. Should it go to every other year, maybe instead? And then just sort of if there is a thought from council, there's lots of ways to approach what we think the increases should be. If there should be a percentage, those percentages get interesting when you have small numbers and trying to keep more round figures for sake of ease on some of those things, but just open to discussion from council if you have any direction on fee review.
The annual is probably appropriate, but I mean, you're right. Every year, when we look at the fact that we haven't brought in any extra tax revenue for the past 8 to 10 years, it's maintained, even though things have gotten more expensive. You know, we can pride ourselves on that, and we'd like to keep all those fees low. I hope it's not seen as a slight for the work that you guys have done for those reviews when we say, you know what, no thanks.
Yeah, I think
like we appreciate lots of input and lots of directions, but
yeah, I think not necessarily that's a slight, but just they want direction of when we sit around the table for that process, there's not a written mandate of kind of what we're looking at. I know I've had some community services board members that are like, well, should it be a 5% increase sometime in every 3-year period for each facility? Should we do them all at once? Should we stagger? You know, this year we're going to focus on arena fees. Next year we'll focus on pool fees. Those sorts of directions there. So I do agree. I like the annual just in the fact, when I was on the community services board many years ago, just as a resident, we were in the position where that review hadn't been done in quite some time. And so we came in and we were the people that had to give, 100% increase to what a ball diamond rental was because no one had looked at it in however many years prior to that. So I think we want to avoid falling into that trap where you put it off, and suddenly we haven't looked at those for, 5 years, 10 years, something like that. So I guess the council is open to hearing what they would look at for increases, and then kind of using your judgment on where you think affordability, that balance of our costs versus residents' costs.
Okay.
Any other feedback directly to the fee process?
Well, I wonder, cost of living, I'm not sure if that would be appropriate or not, but that could be an option as well, but or inflationary, I guess. Just everything else is increasing and that sort of thing. And sometimes we don't have a lot of the funds to really play with if we want to keep the taxes low and such. So any other Councilor Murphy? Do you have any comment?
First of all, the community service, the work you do is amazing. And it is so complex when we show up and we have 15 pages of costs. And the reality is it doesn't matter what you do to it, it'll always cost taxpayers money because these are not profitable in every town.
Yeah, you're definitely subsidizing no matter what.
Right, but the service that's provided, I spent every single day in that pool all summer with my grandchildren and anybody else who needed to have a parent with them. I was there, and just an incredible facility and arena and the curling rink. I did the rummage sale, just amazing. All these events are happening because we keep everything affordable. And these facilities are what make Hanna incredible, and they're just top notch. Though an indoor pool and Tantwick Rink is something we really need to talk about.
Yeah.
However, in the meantime, but every year it is a lot to look at, but I think it's worth it because then we're aware of those. And sometimes we don't really pay attention. Like you said, years went by. So I think yearly it's good. We might, again, not make any changes, but at least we see it.
And would you guys like more rationale, I guess, with that? I know I've had some board members come forward and we send you guys a list of here's, the changes we're proposing. Would you like any sort of notes to go with that on? I know sometimes there is hey, we increased soccer and ball last year, but we didn't touch hockey or figure skating. So we're looking at hockey and figure skating this year. Do you want some of those rationale notes of how the board came to which numbers they're looking at this year? Because they go back and we do like a 5-year historical of who we've kind of increased when with some of that data. I know it's a lot to absorb already with a lot of numbers. So I didn't know if more rationale is helpful or if it's just information overload when you get that whole piece.
I personally think it's very helpful, as well as comparisons to other communities our size.
Yes, and we do that CSB level, so we can include that in your guys' package piece when you get it to go forward. Just some of those.
And Plumheller, and just, I think that makes a difference.
One thing when you do comparisons for like a town this size compared to another town this size is you've got to look at what kind of support they get from their MD accounting as well.
Yeah.
Because if you look at where I used to work in Bellevue, well, for the Greenview, they built a brand new rec facility for the town of Bellevue, which was beyond, like it's something the city would have, but you can't really compare that to any other municipality because they don't have that same relationship with their MD accounting. But it's difficult to do that comparison town to town because their finance is different. If they're in a rich MD or a supported MD or county, they're going to get a lot of funds for projects like that, and as you said, rec eats away money. So it's tough to do that. You'd have to take into account that if you're looking at one other municipality, what kind of support is it getting? And I know we get good support from special areas, but you got to take that into account. So just because one town, similar size, if you compare what Bellevue has, it's roughly the same size as here, but if you look at their rec facility, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and corporate sponsorship too.
Yeah.
Like I know I grew up around Fort Saskatchewan, that's my hometown. And Dow and Sherritt and all of that years ago, and there is now some corporate sponsorship as well that we may not be aware of, and just looking at numbers on them.
The Greenview built the rec facility in Bellevue and paid 80% to build it, and then offered to do 80% of the operating.
Wow.
And after I think 3 or 4 years, they just took it off the end of the town value, because even at that cost, the town value couldn't run it.
Wow.
So, you know, and Greenview, you might know, gives a lot of money to town value every year, right? While they're operating. So it's tough to do that same kind of comparison area to area. It's more, I think, better that you focus on your goals for the town and what you want, affordable rec and good programs, and know you're taking that from tax dollars as well.
And yeah, just finding that balance between what's taxpayer paid and what is user pay is really all you're doing, right? Still the residents of this community that are paying for lots of these things, right? It's just that balancing point of what should be individual user and what should be on that broader level. So
Well, and having the community services board making those decisions when it's made up of volunteers, community members and that sort of thing. So they're probably users as well. And so having that recommendation to council carries more weight than just, I think, than just council go ahead and doing those. If they're willing to see an increase in a sport that they participate in or their family, that I think carries a bit of weight as well. Councillor Kroll, do you have any comments or?
I think, you know, what you're doing is appropriate, and it's, you know, and we're finding out the information I think that we need. And stuff.
perfect. Yeah, that's just the
Not a lot more that we could ask for. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I think Councillor Searle, I think, makes a comment that, regarding looking at this year or whatever and such, but I know I do appreciate if you want to add comments.
Okay.
You know, in my opinion, I'm not.
As part of our process, we can definitely
just
include
please
some brief little
add
notes
anything.
there of, you
Sure.
know,
I think that would be
this
helpful.
one's been this many years without an increase, and
Yeah.
that's why we're putting it forward to kind of give some of that context there, because it is a lot, and it's a lot to go back and remember all
is,
those
yeah.
discussion points too, when if we've made multiple changes. No, thank you for that feedback. And then I guess our second piece is the Community Services Board grant. So currently every fall we open for grant applications. They're due September 30th, and then just depending on the CSB schedule as to when the meeting is where they review that. So part of that process is those groups come in, they do a presentation to Community Services Board, and then we go through the process of a scoring matrix and discussion to award the $3,000 that we currently have in that grant process. Knowing that council has had a couple of requests come in kind of outside of that process, and there's been discussion, I know in some of your meetings about, you know, we did the pickleball nets and the community garden. You have a presentation today from SEALs looking for things. I know there was discussion for some of those earlier asks of how do we do this fairly? Should we get this into a process where it all goes one place, one time? And so discussion about whether Community Services Board would be the appropriate place to put that. So I guess looking for feedback of if council is going to direct that to us, or if you're looking for the board to come to you with a proposal of what the increase in funding should be. Should we go to 2 cycles a year? Some of that stuff. So just looking for some feedback of if that's something council is going to direct down to the board, or if they're looking to the board to come forward with a proposal.
That's almost impossible. I mean, you've seen how many things come in separately. Sometimes they're $1,000, sometimes they're $11,000, the potential to be 20. I wish we could just say we'll give CSB $100,000 loosely wrecked, but it's hard. We do have to evaluate it each time when they come in. If it's smaller ones, we'll happily direct them your way. If we decide to increase funding for that, to get a few more opportunities for you guys to get money out.
Yeah, because there would be potential, right, with an increase to that budget. We could do 2 cycles a year. There's other communities that do that, right? They do a spring and a fall intake. You're right. There will always be some one-off that is just out of scope for that, either timing wise or the amount asked wise, that you guys might still see. But yeah, just looking for if you're happy with the process as it is and taking those ad hoc ones as they come in, or if you want to see us broaden the scope of what community services grant covers so that you can kind of put those there. And I would recommend, if you were doing that, to go to 2 cycles, just so people aren't waiting that whole year to get in on a project.
Do you find, I hate the word, but I'll see like the government of Alberta, do you find you're oversubscribed?
Varies year to year. So this year, I think there's only 3 applications in. I think, you know, there's an ask for $4,000 and you have $3,000 worth of funding. So likely we'll be able to partially fund everybody probably. But I think, I'm trying to think it was last year, 2 years ago, I'm thinking we had 7 or 8. We were very oversubscribed. You know, everyone was asking for the full amount and it was really oversubscribed that way. So it really seems to just swing. I don't know if there's any rationale or logic to which years get heavier applications. We do have a evaluation process with those, with kind of a point scoring system that we do use. So some of the rationale on there is, it favors youth activities and organizations. We do take into account the number of years since the last time that they had a grant from the CSB. So if all things being equal, those who haven't gotten recently are more likely to get a grant. There's a demonstration of need piece. There's criteria for if it's a special event versus just ongoing operations. Ranking on capital projects versus, again, if you're just looking for funds to operate and stay sustainable, how we rank those. Number of participants that are involved activity, and does it benefit the community as a whole, a specific user group, or a specific individual, and kind of ranking those to try to get our best bang for our buck of who we support. So they do kind of have a scoring matrix and a rationale that we go through with that, which I think is helpful when we are oversubscribed to try to come down to what's the best decision we can make.
Are you seeing a need to increase the 3,000 to a higher amount?
It has been 3,000 for a long time. I was trying to find back in the records, and everyone that I talked to goes, as far back as I can remember on the Community Services Board, that was the number. So, I mean, talking about inflationary pressures and things, maybe there is an appetite there at budget time for you guys to look at that being different, to see if there's a need for an increase. Even if we were staying just the once a year and not taking on a whole lot of extra requests, does that need to come up again? I guess as part of our review of fees and things, sort of the same concept, right? Of how often should that be looked at for an increase? And like it's been over the year, and there's nothing saying we have to give out everything that's been right. If the requests were less than the amount budgeted, great, we didn't spend it all this year. But yeah, I guess too, if we had a larger pool, we could let groups know that too, right? Things like your presentation today, if that pool of funds was bigger, you would let them know that that's available to them. Rather than it being something out of scope that they know that coming to us for $3,000, even if they took the whole pot this year, doesn't touch what they're actually asking you guys for, right? So there'd be some ability there to change the process if you wanted to.
So have you considered doing a formal request to increase?
We absolutely could as part of budget.
To like $5,000 in the spring and $5,000 in the fall. It has been an issue with the presenters coming in. They're going, we can't wait 14 months. They just sent out the, because sometimes it's like the loop, which is wonderful, but it just out of nowhere, I know, let's try this. And it works and it's amazing. So, but to wait 14 months for funding would be.
Right. If you have to come up in October and you've got to wait till next September to put your application in and then get approved, it certainly is a long wait time now. So we could look at two cycles if that's what council wanted. I guess really just looking for direction from you guys. I just know there was commentary and discussion in your guys' council meetings about how do you guys fairly assess those when it kind of becomes who gets in the door first to a meeting, gets funding, and then how do you guys manage that throughout the rest of the year of additional requests? So just really looking for kind of your guys' thoughts on that. If it's better for us to expand, in which case we could go back to Community Services Board, have a proposal come forward for budgetary consideration for you guys to change that. Or if you guys like it as it is today and are willing to kind of take those as they come, we're happy to continue on doing it as we do today. So.
Well, my comments would be, put in a proposal, and those that are over and above can come to council and ask for anything that might exceed that, just as it has been doing. But there's always an opportunity for improving something, and maybe the 2 year or two cycles a year would be a good opportunity, and funds available. Yeah, and if the amount doesn't get used, it just gets carried in.
Right. I'm trying to think. I don't know when the last time it was ever reviewed. It's been $3,000 forever. We're talking decades.
Yeah, I don't know how far back. We couldn't find when it had changed. I'm sure it's in the records somewhere. But when we looked at it's been not significant
when you look at
No, it isn't. No.
having to split.
No.
Yes, yeah. When groups come in with their request, our benchmark is kind of we don't split any finer than going down to $500 per group because that just gets
almost insulting.
Yes, yeah. And so we'd like to, be able to give those larger sums. So I guess if there's appetite from council to see a proposal, we can go back as the Community Services Board and review that and come forward with a recommendation of what we'd like to see if twice a year, perhaps an increase is warranted. And then go from there on what you guys decide when you do budget.
Wonderful.
Any
comments from,
If you
actually from the peanut gallery, I will take a comment.
give you some background on that as the historian in the room on that particular program. It was $2,500. It increased to $3,000. One year we didn't do the full allocation, we had 5,000 to allocate, and that was well received. So it hasn't gone up from that 3,000, probably 15 years. It's stayed at that amount. And Michelle is quite correct, and some years it's oversubscribed, and some years it isn't, and some years it's oversubscribed, but it isn't eligible people applying. But it is a good program, and it is well received by the community and appreciated by the community for council's sake.
Thank you, Ms. Snell. That wasn't meant to be disrespectful. My apologies.
She got the history for us. So yes,
Yeah,
up to 3,000 and
I sat on that board years in my first term, and Ms. Snell was involved with that group. So yeah.
yes, no, it's a great grant program. I think the community groups appreciate it. And as a board, it's a fun one to get to give away money, right?
Yeah.
That's always nice to get to help groups out and help with different programs that we have and different partners that we have in the community. So I know the board looks forward to doing that meeting each year. So I will take it back to them for a discussion and a possible proposal to come forward to council in a more official capacity.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So on behalf of council, we'd like to thank Michelle Taves for her presentation on behalf of the Community Services Board. Is that right? Okay. Thanks so
I
much.
don't have a nameplate.
There's one point, you're much faster than anything dad.
And thank you, Councillor Murphy.
You did it.
I'm just used to calling by first name. All in favor, please. Carried. Thank you. Our next on the agenda is Thomas Trout, and thank you very much for your patience, and we carried it on quite well for the Harvest Sky Regional Economic Development presentation delegation.
Well, before I begin, thank you very much for having me. It's a real honor to speaking with council. I've never done it.
Well, yeah, and this is our new manager of the economic development. So yeah, welcome.
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you for that introduction, Senator. So just as a little background, Matthew approached me about 2 weeks ago with some potential partnerships for some grants. And today we'd like to present a proposal for several initiatives that would leverage Hanna's unique cultural connection to the band of Nickelback. Sorry, bug is on me. As you know, Nickelback has deep roots to our community, and this provides us with an excellent opportunity to both tourism and economic development. So just as a quick overview of these project ideas, me and Matthew discussed potentially a media team or market analysis, where we would consider establishing a media team to promote local businesses and attract investment through high quality content. Additionally, conducting a marketing analysis would help identify growth opportunities and strategic actions for business retention and expansion. So this would be covered under the SCOP grant, and this is a 90-10 match. So for example, if you put in 10,000, you could get up to 100,000. It's between 20 and 100. And the submission application deadline is for December 19th. Our next proposal is a Nickelback theme signage, where we would create a large eye-catching sign that celebrates Nickelback's roots to Hanna. The project aims to enhance the town's branding, attract visitors, and increase foot traffic to benefit local businesses. This would be used under the Product Development Fund, which can provide grants ranging from $75,000 to $500,000, with partners contributing at least 25% of project cost. The deadline for this is coming up. It is on November 8th, 2024. So we have to act quickly if we were to move forward on that. And then third, we envision a Nickelback tour, which would be an interactive guide to take visitors to significant locations tied to the band's history. A lot of the design work has already been done by the former Harvest Sky Economic Development Manager, Mark, and it intended to promote economic activity through increased visitor spending. So this would be done through the NRED program, which covers up to 50% of program costs ranging from 10 to 300,000. And the submission deadline is for December 6th. And then one of Matthew's ideas was a Nickelback themed app, which would be engaged with tourists and promote Hanna's connection to the band. The app would offer potentially self-guided tours, historical insights, and opportunities for local businesses to advertise. And that would be under the same NRED grant. So all of these funding opportunities would be done through grants, as well as potential partnership with Hanna, Harvest Sky, and special areas. Contributions is still under negotiation, but today we're just mainly inviting feedback on proposed projects, particularly the feasibility of partnerships and financial contributions that may be required. Your insights would be instrumental to ensuring alignment with our town's economic development strategy. So just next steps, feedback, so we can refine our grant application and develop a timeline for submissions, or if we want to move forward at all. So
Do you have any visuals to?
Not with me.
Okay.
But I spoke with Insight, me and Matthew, and the designs are currently in works. So we can still make edits.
They're the ones that did the graphics for our current signage and branding.
Correct.
And I think the previous manager did have, whether there's a little box on things you could.
QR codes.
A QR code, had made a suggestion about QR codes on some of the album paintings, and that would give them a tour or information on it. So have you heard back from Nickelback? I know there was some, they were waiting for some information from them because there had been some discussion that they were quite supportive of doing something.
I haven't had any word back with Nickelback. Mark didn't leave me any information on that, but there is the possibility of doing cameos by paying them a little bit, and then I can do a little spiel or whatever. But me and Matthew questioned whether or not QR codes would be a thing in 10 years, or if they were potentially damaged, then they would be useful in kind of an eyesore. So,
And that's probably where the actual app would be more beneficial.
A little odd because both me and Mark, Devin Thomas, are new. So we got together, we saw these grants that are out there, and we were trying to come up with ideas of how we could tie them. I think every week I hear somebody come in the office and that's about Nickelback. So that's a key thing for us to work on. So we rolled around some ideas for that, and then we realized that all the back work had been done in the past. So we wanted to tie into that as much as we can. You know, I know that there's these kind of tables that we're planning to put out around the town where you would get information. But whenever I've seen those in parks and other places, they usually get damaged or graffiti written on them, and that may or may not happen here. But you know, then there's the maintenance cost of it. I just thought like an app on your phone could be easily updated and improved over time as the technology changes, and we could add to it and also promote other businesses. If you're in visiting, get 20% off a meal at this restaurant. So I think that gives us more leverage than something stuck in the ground does. And we also, like, one of the things Thomas talked about is like the big Nickelback kind of, we want that photo op kind of thing that if people are going to come in, they can Instagram it or put it on social media. So other people will see it, and other people want to come and have their picture taken there, and then it gives them a reason to come other than you know what they saw on the documentary. So you know, we were coming up with those ideas, and we saw the past work that's been done, and we thought, how can we tie this in? And you know, like the different grants, the 3 different grants, they split the money. You know, like the tourism ones are the best ones. I think they're the 90-10 split. So those are the ones that do pick something expensive to go after, that's the one to chase for that. And they're all focused on tourism and economic development. The NRED is the 50-50 split, which is probably the worst one to go after. And the SCOP, is that 70?
That's 90.
Is that 90 as well?
So
Yeah,
the tourism is 75.
Okay. The
SCOP is 90 and Internet is 50-50.
But SCOP has a lower maximum amount, right, than the others,
It
so.
goes up to 100,000.
Yeah. So we had like ideas for that, because we went to what they awarded these grants to in the past, like what kind of things they like to support. And one of them was like the creating a media team to promote your municipality was one that they seem to like to giving away for. And the tourism one is to build something. So we thought that we built the big Nickelback, take a picture on the time on Nickelback kind of event.
I think that was a discussion that Mark was having with Nickelback, and that we had kind of looked at that big sign just in front, that all the electronics are outdated or not working or whatever, to utilize that's already in place for photo ops to get them off the highway and make it safer for people to come in and take advantage of that, and then carry them on through the rest of town through a self-guided tour of whatever else we wanted there. And that, so yeah.
So there is some tight deadlines in some of these, not all of them, but we just wanted, because when we submitted the grant, we need a motion from council. So and then we will check to the other partners. So this is the feedback that we want to get. If you like the idea of an app, you like the idea of a big Nickelback photo op opportunity, or the media team, or do you want us to rethink those things? Or
because the media team takes the money out of our community, does it not?
Unless there's one based in Hanna, but what they would do is, we're paying them to promote us, right? We're paying their expertise to.
Harvest Guy had a media team, I believe it was a media team, for lack of a better word, before, and managed, collected a lot of photos, which are great assets. We still use them. I still uses them. Probably use a refresh.
Yeah.
And then some writers.
That's the insight that did some work on that,
which was good. They did a complete review on some of the wording on our website, Harvest Guy's website. But the really valuable thing I thought was the people that managed the social media, and that was what they did. That was their job. And I believe that is what has driven all of the interest in the community. It's a piece of the puzzle, but it was kind of the piece that was needed, I guess, because it certainly generated a lot of interest in the community, and drove housing and drove a few other things that have caused residences to go up and stuff.
Councilor Murphy.
First of all, I know Mark, the previous director, was really keen on communicating with the band, because it would be pompous of us to be doing all this without their knowledge and their support, because they have been so incredible. They bring us up all the time. But
we have that established.
You have all that.
I can.
Yeah, well, Mark should have left all that information, because he did make,
I nowhere in this do we ever talk about having, whether it's a branch off of the visitor center, but having a gift shop. These folks come here, they want to leave. Just like you go to Banff, you don't go to Banff and come back without at least one widget to say, I was there. They come here, they get nothing. There's not a
That's another legal licensing issue that we got into a few years ago with them, so we could go ahead and we could go ahead and order directly from their shop. That was, if we wanted to turn around and retail that, so I guess we could do that and mark it up if that's what people are asking for, but it wouldn't, I don't think at that time, and again, I would encourage that conversation to be had, because this was a number of years ago. Co-branding wasn't going to be allowed. It wasn't permitted. So it was go to the website, buy the stuff you want, and mark it up if you want.
I know there was something about Nickelback's lawyers that Mark was waiting to hear back from them regarding that. And getting an agreement that, yes, they do want, I believe they were very supportive of it, but we don't have anything in writing.
Because again,
Because we need to do that, yeah.
you get one and then they go, oh, I don't have one of those, and the fear of missing out. Next thing you know, you've got people coming from all over to get the stuff that you can to buy it in Hanna. For example, when I went to Pennsylvania and I happened to make it to Hershey, Pennsylvania, where the chocolate's from, the first thing I did was go into a store and I bought a Hershey bar in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And it was one of those really cool moments that I did that. People want to do that. And that's an opportunity that we perhaps, especially with the documentary, which I hope everyone has seen, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's, Hannah's in it the whole way. And it would be, I know people have come here just for that. So just as a side note, but you got to have the band support.
Councillor Crowe?
Well, wasn't there a committee formed
I thought there
about
was.
a year ago?
Yeah.
Like when we were having our new signs put up, wasn't there
Well,
like?
Mark was looking after all that.
Danny was involved with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had some discussion meetings up front that, yeah, I don't know if it was a formal committee, but there was definitely lots of us that kind of gathered to do that initial spitballing of things.
Would that be within tonight?
No, we just kind of locals did it and then Mark was kind of running the ball on that side. So I'm sure it's in your notes back that we could find the thread of things of kind of where that all.
Yeah.
And I know that Nickelback was quite supportive of,
Yeah.
From what Danny had said.
Right, but the support from the guys themselves, that's great.
The legal end of it.
Yeah.
It's the legal piece that gets
Exclusive
involved.
rights and things that different providers
Gets
might have.
involved,
with
so
them.
the intent might be really, really good and positive, but then the legal team goes, whoa.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we need to clarify is they need to be on board with it and we need the permission, legal permission to do that, so that we're not crossing the lines where we shouldn't be.
Well, we can definitely get their feedback and ideas if we're gonna do, or,
Yeah.
or the time that people can photo op something like.
More direction.
I think that needs to be first.
I think just explaining history, you should be fine. Just mentioning that, which I think that should be in public domain, explaining this is where Chad Kruger went to school and
Well, I'm not sure. I think you need to get everybody
A
involved.
big sign with their
Yeah.
name.
the big sign with their name.
Murphy said you would want the rubber.
Yeah,
Yes.
We definitely engage with them. We just have a tight deadline
Yeah.
of
the application.
these deadlines for us. So if we're in the direction of pursuing it, part of pursuing it is engaging with
Yeah.
the band.
I think it's very positive. Do you guys have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, the big sign, obviously, will get people in there. The
So
QR codes will be around forever. They're so customizable. You ever thought of the graffiti? I've been told that with the spray park, with the skate park.
The
with
mural.
everything. The murals, we've had one incident. Vandalism is so very little around here. I mean, I'm not concerned. Signs and monuments brings people in. QR codes will get them to the door of a store or a restaurant. Unique things. The app I'm less sold on, but the signage of getting bodies downtown is big, especially in the next coming years.
Yeah.
People who've been to Hanna 10 years ago, these couple blocks are very different. They start walking down there to see something, and word spreads, and you're at that market analysis. If you get people with a social media team and a presence that have much further reach than from Hanna social media, would be very beneficial. And as for grants, especially 25%, we have to 25% chase every one of those. Use everything we can.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a huge business opportunity for somebody that wants to take that gamble. VIC would be an ideal site, but it's only seasonal. And we want this to be on a year-round basis. So maybe some of the local businesses that might be interested in taking it on, or
I think we would have to lead it and get all of the legal stuff in place.
Oh, no,
first,
no,
'cause it's overwhelming.
yes, no, I agree. But after that is in place, it could be something that would be, maybe an independent business as well. So Is everyone in kind of a consensus of to go ahead and pursue and look at the grants and, with that in mind and?
Yeah, if you said which of those you want as priorities, we can write that up in the next council
Oh,
meeting.
why do you need one?
Yeah, we could go in too many directions
Yeah.
and then they all fail.
Yeah, well, the 90-10 and, like you had indicated, Mr. CAO is, the more funding we can get injected into a project, the better. Then it is less coming out of taxpayers' money, but I think any sort of investment is worthwhile for tourism to bring it forward. That's my opinion. Any other comment?
So this,
CAO?
Yeah, the scope grant for the market analysis and get that. Yeah, that was the short deadline you said, right?
No, we have till December 19th.
Oh, okay.
It's the
The
tourism one.
50/50.
The tourism is coming up really soon.
Yeah, November 8th and November 6th or December 6th. Yeah, November 8th is the Alberta Tourism. And that you said is 7,500 to 500,000.
That's the largest one, yeah. So that would be, if you wanted the big sign, that would be the one choice for that.
So just for a little bit of background on the signage, our sign at the west entrance that acting Mayor Bodine was speaking about has the community billboard of the electronics piece that council chose not to replace. And the intent there was to always have a welcome or something. It was a starting point for Nickelback. So if you were looking at some sort of that's why that is still sitting there, because it wasn't done when the signage project was done last year. Because we weren't sure what it was going to look like. So it was supposed to tie in with this Nickelback tour, but now it just kind of sits like an albatross.
Mm-hmm. Well, because something was started and then there was a change in management. So,
well, no, because the signage project was started, but then it was like, well, what if we do tie it in with this Nickelback project instead of just a simple welcome?
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean.
So it's there now, kind of waiting for some rather than create a whole big new sign. Maybe that's
use what we have and adapt it to something that we can utilize and take advantage of it. So does that answer your questions or not really?
I think we can work with that. We can bring it back to next council. If you want to fine tune it, then we can fine tune it. But I think that again, the idea of the media team.
Mm-hmm. Plus, we have more information coming through the business items as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if we move through the first three applications, that the NRED one, that one's 50-50 for the app.
Yes, that would be 50-50.
Yeah, the first three all tie together really well. The app, I would be in a phase 2.
There is a website already designed as well.
Okay.
By Insight. So if that's something.
Which is perfect. The QR codes take everybody there to each thing. And then when the QR code, that can stay static on the wall and the website in behind it and everything's sort of move forward that way.
Okay. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have somebody make a motion that we thank Thomas Trout, the manager of Harvest Sky Regional Economic Development, for his presentation today. Councillor Paul, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. And moving along.
And nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Public presentations. Do we have one? Ms. Snell, I think, yeah. Please. Thank you for your patience. That's okay.
Thank you for allowing me to speak at public presentation. And I want to begin by saying, I know it's a really difficult job to be members of council and making some difficult decisions. And I've sat on the other side of the table for a little longer than I'd like to admit, for a few years. Anyways, there's been some discussion regarding the purchasing policy that has caused me some concern as a taxpayer, as a ratepayer, in the community, and there's been some comments made that I've kind of done a little tweak on and thought, no, I don't think that's necessarily how the public thinks. So I have some questions and some comments, and it's only for consideration of council to keep in mind as we move forward with this very important policy. My first question was, what spurred the need for change or review? And was it genuine concern, or is it self-interest groups or individuals? So I often go back to when I'm doing a production in the community center, and if one person comes and complains that it's too dark and they want to turn all the lights on, that's not a concern. That's one person voicing their opinion and trying to drive change. So that's my question. Where did it come from? And is there a big issue? I know from experience, administration live and work in the community. They have a vested interest in seeing the community continue to thrive and grow. Not only are they employed through the town, but they're invested by the very nature of how they choose to spend their personal time. You have volunteer firefighters, you have supporter of the arts, you have members of nonprofit organizations such as the food bank and sports groups. They're coaches, ticket sellers, laborers, and perhaps most importantly, unofficial ambassadors for our community. However, in my experience and opinions, they are also extremely dedicated to safeguarding and ensuring that they provide the best value for each and every dollar spent within municipal government. And also in my experience, I found that our businesses respected and went that extra effort to ensure we were able to have an open and positive relationship in regards to purchasing. And I give a personal experience. We bought our commercial cleaning supplies and products through a member of municipal purchasing. We had a local business approach the department, wondered why we were purchasing outside. But this is our costs. Can you match them? They came back and said, we'll see what we can do. They came back with a proposal to match. And to my knowledge, we're still purchasing locally through that business. Competition's good, and you have to step up and be prepared to compete. I caution that a policy that states to shop local at any price would not necessarily be received by your ratepayers. Our demographics show 40% are seniors living on a limited income. And again, competition is good for the consumer and it's good for municipal purchasing. Transparency has to be maintained. And I know there was a comment made jokingly about, see if you can order it through a third party and then I'll just resell it back to the town. And I know that's not the way council wants to be perceived. You want to be transparent and open. And giving an unfair advantage to a local business is not good use of taxpayer dollars in the end. Nonprofits, volunteer groups, and charities within our community require the support and encouragement of municipal council in order to ensure for all residents. Support for private business by developing and purchase local at any cost is not a policy that would be well received, in my opinion. So I thank council for allowing me the opportunity to say my piece. I have a great deal of respect for council and administration. I felt I needed to say something at this point.
Thank you. Mr. CAO, would you like to make a comment regarding where the source came from? Like to address the question that Ms. Snell had as far as why we're looking at it?
It's just,
I will find a couple of comments. I mean, it comes up in our council meeting every single time we question it. Every single time I feel like staff are getting grilled for purchasing something from somewhere with no direction other than our job is to give them how much money to spend and the speed at which to move forward with projects. When we're going granular with everything, it personally drives me nuts when we criticize every purchase when it's already within their boundaries to make those purchases. So it didn't come from one comment, it came from this side of the table. And the staff having to answer questions without any real policy in behind them. So it's going to make it easier, streamline their decisions to make those purchases. And And the idea of purchase at any cost, I'm not sure if that was just a random comment, but it's never been discussed. We're aware that there's a budget for a reason. So that's never been considered to just purchase anything at any cost. The third party comment, the policy is going to get rid of that. I will never question if I pick something up from a home hardware, I don't ask them where they ordered it from. I look at their final price, if that's reasonable, and this is for my own personal thing, and we do the same on this side of the table. Almost every purchase comes from a third party. There's no manufacturing here. So if, depending on home hardware, if they decide to order stuff from Amazon that's cheaper, I don't really care. If their final price is going to be the same, I'm not going to go through second step of every vendor.
But then why wouldn't we just go directly to Amazon?
If it's within that 15% policy, that's the idea. That's the purchase, the idea of it. With certain, if it's a $50 item, we purchase
Absolutely, if it's on the shelf.
Yeah.
Those comments were made, and I believe on a recorded meeting, by members of council that they felt residents would support purchasing local, even if it costs substantially more.
But I'm not going to these budget meetings every year.
So that was, and that was that's my tweet on it. And there has been comments made outside. So I felt I needed to come forward and say something. I have an opportunity to be here today. And again, with all due respect, I know you have a very difficult decision and work to do here. And I've been on the side of administration, and I know we all have purchased local wherever and whenever possible. And we mentor our junior staff as they come in. If they wanted to go to town and say, have you checked local? Can you? Don't even ask me. Check local first.
Well, I think that every municipality has an option to purchase through Alberta municipalities. Don't they have like a province-wide discount because they buy it on bulk, and it's not matched anywhere. And personally, I just as soon see if it's within a reasonable amount. Sure, but if I happen to be in an area where I could save some money, well, then that's where I purchase it. I don't go and make a special trip to save $10 because of the gas, the time, and everything else associated with it. And I would appreciate, admin does that on many of these situations to make the best use of their money. Councilor Murphy, did you have your? No.
Again, my intent wasn't to be critical. I just had these concerns and I wanted to bring them forward. And from the comments that I've heard stated before, and I thought, where is this going? And I will state that our businesses are very good to work with and do attempt to go out of their way to try and price match. But there's the odd one that has a sense of entitlement, and that's not cool. And it puts staff in a very difficult position. And so the support of council is appreciated. And I just wanted to bring that forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comment? No? Thank you. So moving along, then I guess we'll head on to our Chief Administrative Officer report. And Mr. Matthew.
Yeah, as council know, Riley, there's the application AUC to let them know that we're opposed to the project, so that's been done. I've been attending the Main Street meetings on the project, which seems, I'd say over 90% completed. It's just the furnishings, and there's some stuff that they're gonna have to come back next year and fix. Before the end of this year, they may change some of the parking stalls by the post office. That may happen. And I quickly can do that.
And out of curiosity, when I think back to the original maps, there was no way that we lost 50 feet of sidewalk in front of the post office, because we all would have noticed that. It just wasn't on the plans. So it's kind of odd. Did they ever say that there's a alleyway in there, so they're just following that traffic rules?
Standards.
There's an alleyway 50 feet farther down, and it's not like that. The one right beside, Leffler Plumbing, whatever that building is.
Yeah.
There's an alleyway right there.
Yeah.
I think there's rules that they have to do for like cars pulling out into the road, like they have to make their space, but yeah,
Yeah, I'd certainly like to see some changes there.
so they're gonna see if they can do that before winter sets in. I did the crisis communication training last week at Special Areas Building. Staff have been taking on some bylaw responsibilities. I met with a resident, both Brent and Dave have been dealing with some issues as well. I also attended the Chamber of Commerce Awards night last week.
Yeah. Any questions anybody had? I had one person comment regarding the Main Street infrastructure. That the sign on, like the street sign on the west side of the post might be taken out by an RV or a holiday trailer, because I've seen that happen in the past. Is that of any concern to put it onto the west side of the post? You know what I mean?
I'm sure when they do the snow clearing, we'll figure that out pretty quickly
Yeah.
with their equipment.
Well, I think it's holiday trailers they're concerned about, because they've seen a sign be sacrificed by a holiday trailer being taken out.
Is there some that stick out further than the sidewalk? You're saying, or?
Well, the one right at the stop, so like at the stop sign, and then they have the street addresses on it. One's on the west side and one's on the east side, but the east side on the road side might be taken out by a holiday trailer. So it was just something I thought, I said I'd bring up to see if they would want to put them on the west side as well. Maybe they're not as visible, but maybe they might last longer. I don't know. I just thought if it's a concern, I would bring it up and you guys can decide whether or not it's still.
Yeah, the post office is definitely the major that I've heard about.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like just maybe some updates, whenever you can find out about that, what they can do.
Well, and I think that the design was set up based on every site in that strip mall being occupied. So having the dip in the sidewalk and the access in the middle of the sidewalk, I'm sorry, the middle of the strip mall allows access to both sides.
Yeah.
And not knowing that it is a post office and most of our handicap would be, going to that site.
And I think the plan is to make the two extra bays wider so that they could accommodate the disabled vehicle.
Okay, any other questions at all or any more comments? Councilor Murphy?
I understand there's some issues on, I think it's Pioneer Trail, that there's a lot of potholes that have been filled.
That is
What
Fox
road
Lake
was-
Trail, by the Ball Diamond. Yeah,
And-
that has been a concern.
Yes, I know, one of our residents has contacted many of us
Yeah.
about this issue, but they were filled with asphalt and not tamped. So you be prepared for a lumpy ride to get through that area. I don't know what happened, but it was never completed. So,
I can talk with that.
yeah.
Same as 12th Avenue and Fox Lake Trail has the same problem.
Well, that was,
That's always been an issue. They thought, I think they,
this is a repair north of the school.
yeah,
Right.
the one on 12th, I think they thought initially it was trees and they graded it and taken it down or whatever. And it's still an issue. I don't think it has anything to do with the trees. But it did make it better, but it is still an issue now, but yeah.
So it's just, it seemed like it was started and we forgot.
Yeah.
They just left it like that. So it's a little on the lumpy side.
Okay, if there's no comments or additional,
I was approached by members of the Ladies Auxiliary, like the rummage sale. They handed a letter in to buy and purchase a sea can, and they want property to set it on or something. Now, was that letter forwarded on to anybody?
Yeah, we got the letter. I think Brent's been in touch with them that they can put it, like he's arranged for a day for that to go. So I think that's all taken care of and.
Okay, because I was just focused on Saturday, you know.
I'll check in with Brent, but I'm pretty sure it was all good.
If there is no other questions, comments, I'd like to thank, our CAO for his report. The Chief Administrative Officer report. Oh, okay. I envy Danny now. Okay, I guess we're heading on to business items. Anyways, thank you, our CAO. Matthew, thank you. Business items, scope grant application for media team or comprehensive market analysis business item.
So I think we've discussed these
Yeah,
already. So we
yeah.
can
Let's move forward on that, okay. Purchasing policy direction. 6.5, purchasing policy
So
direction.
there's, like I had the pleasure of watching your council meeting before I started where you discussed it and then you decided to leave it till I started. So I think you can, there's different options in this write-up, and I think you can make a case for every single policy that you create, right? To buy local only, to pay people. You can make the case for every one of these ones, right? And I've had the chance to talk to senior staff about this, and I've signed like how much we spend every year, every 2 weeks, and I know there's a lot of local shopping taking place. It's not like we're buying everything out of town. I think those are very obscure things, the very specialized things that we're buying out of town. So I think there's a lot of support for local businesses already, and staff are aware of that. They're not oblivious to that. I think what worries staff is they're going to get tied up in red tape and policies before they can get stuff done. And I know that one member of staff tried purchasing something, and instead of purchasing it themselves directly through Amazon, they decided to contact somebody else to buy it for them through Amazon, and 3 weeks later, it still was a purchase. So it delayed things getting done. And we want staff to be efficient and respectful. And it was mentioned before, we have a budget and we work to that budget best we can to serve our residents. So, like I said, you can make the case for every direction that you can possibly go.
And just to validate that too, Matthew, I believe the Amazon purchase was for supplies for a piece of office equipment that's came on the ark. So nobody would support, we couldn't get it supplies anywhere for that piece of equipment.
So I know like the provinces came to push on the municipalities to reduce red tape, to make things easier and make things flow better. And I think that, you can say this percentage of that percentage, but I think we have very qualified staff that work here and understand what they're working with in budget and supporting local. So I think that given that faith and confidence in staff, I don't think you've experienced anything where they've not supported local businesses. They always have. So I don't know if there'd be a need to inundate with complicated formulas, and just tying them up waiting 3 weeks for somebody else to order something they could have got done.
And with that, if we had a policy instead of just a guideline, we always encourage shopping local. All staff knows this. It's 15% when things are the same. If you can order it yourself, get it in 3 days, or get it through somebody else, take 3 weeks. That's not the same. That would allow that. So, and whether it's in black and white signed off policy, if we're very clear with staff that when things are the same, if it's a lower quality item, that's not the same. If shipping's much longer, it's not the same. But if it's literally apples to apples, of course, and everyone on this side of the table, I'm confident knows that staff are doing that. Whether it's just a policy to make sure that things are followed to enforce it, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Knowing the freedom of when things are the same is still there for staff when they purchase things.
I think it had more to deal with contracts, doing some work perhaps for the town. Where maybe another business was out of town, but the cost of, like the additional cost, like accommodation for that other business to stay for an extended period, and the mileage and extra cost may not have been considered, and it was just the actual work itself. I think
May not is the key word there.
may not,
That's our job to assess that.
yeah. And, but I'm not sure exactly if that was considered. And so that was perceived on, I believe, the individual that may have brought that forward. And I believe they actually approached the person that made the decision and thought that it was not. Is that fair to say?
I think so.
Yeah.
I do. Here's my thing is, I feel a little bit like we, the collective, the counselors, started micromanaging really small purchases.
Yeah.
And that's, so having this in place will zip up that conversation, because you are on behalf of your staff saying, look, we're doing a good job. And I totally agree. I really, after we discussed it, it all made so much sense to me, and I have nothing but respect for the way they're doing it. So having this in place should stop any further micromanaging when we go through the budget and go, you know, line 2047, it says $3 was per, well, maybe the person was there at the time and says, oh, I forgot I have to pick this up. It shouldn't even be discussed, council. So this will stop the conversations.
I think the big thing is the contracts, like, you know, when somebody brought in from out of town, you gotta make sure you're comparing apples to apples.
Yeah.
And that
Accommodations and whatever else, like mileage charges, if they admit that after,
well, I think
it's not fair to the locals.
yeah. And yeah, I think it has to, and maybe there are some that are getting preferential treatment by an individual that likes dealing with so-and-so instead of so-and-so when, you know, but, sometimes on larger projects, it's kind of nice. Yeah.
That's a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
And another thing is, who is we? Like when you asked or answered that question, who is we? Like it's,
What was the question, sir?
I don't know, some about purchasing, and you said, well, we,
Well, your senior admin staff that approve those purchases.
And it may not be admin staff, maybe others that are making the decision as to who they go with to get work done versus. Yeah. Anyways, you know, if somebody has had a contract for a period of time, or it's a big job, versus just going to somebody who's done all this work all the time, there are other people within that, service that might like to put in a bid, that maybe they have extra training or updated training or something to allow the opportunity to bid on certain projects, which is some stuff that I have had people approach me of, is that they never get a chance to bid on the larger projects because it always goes to so-and-so.
The bigger projects will be open to tender, right? So they can bid on those. It's not closed.
They should be
Yeah,
open.
so I think it's like a limit.
Not
Where
necessarily.
maybe principal wants to like set that limit. Say, okay, anything over
Pretty sure they have to be.
20,000.
Doesn't have to be, but I think.
You know, what
Lower.
preference you want to give to local, you know, like if it's just buying a new.
No,
keyboard,
it's
then you
not
buy that
necessary.
quickly. We don't want to be,
No, it's bigger projects. Yeah.
so maybe we need direction on where you want that cutoff level.
I believe that's dictated within the Municipal Government Act, so it's not something.
Not just like tender, like, I know we're gonna have to tender, but if you want to, when we review these, if you want to give a preference to, are we for them
Mhm.
to the local?
Well, if it's under $500, just
No.
go get it. It's still bound by the budget that we
Yeah,
set,
yeah.
of course.
I might talk to you later.
Yeah, I don't know, just feel that we're talking around and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not informed all these
No.
contracts that I'm just not aware of that people.
So we're gonna rewrite the policy, then we need direction on what you want included in that policy.
15% is a good number. Under $500 in my mind is when it's just available here, you purchase it without having to compare.
I think contracts that are over $50,000 could go for tender.
I think it's lower than that. Yeah, it's 25. Yeah. Yeah, so they will go to tender, open to everybody. But it's when we score, we want a preferential.
And the limit is 25.
Some of it's 25 and some of it's 75, and I'd have to look for some of it, whether it's construction or not construction.
Mm-hmm.
That's a legal obligation.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a contract.
Mm-hmm. Okay, moving along. Thank you. Does that give you any direction aside from what I'm saying?
Well, I think if you want to
It
give,
sounds like a one-off.
yeah, like anything under 500 staff, just go ahead and purchase. And then anything above 500, you want a 15%.
Well, is 500
Like, I don't know, like,
1,000 or something? What's? I don't know. Did you have any comments? I'm going to say anything. No comments? Oh,
I think if you look at our spending, like, you know, the good chunk of it is all local,
yeah.
right? So they're not being missed out. I think there's some specialist people that are not local that we might have to bring in.
Mhm.
But, you know, I think all staff are aware of that.
Yeah.
You know, that,
Well, and they're brought in because either we don't have the staff available to do that, they're already booked, or we don't have the equipment. So they are brought in like.
and if we're contracting somebody, and if we have to get somebody who has certain qualifications to do that, then
Mhm.
local people may not have that. We might have to go somewhere else to bring those people in.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, moving along.
Yeah,
So you're open for a more open policy of,
I think I am.
Yeah, I'm just, my struggle is that talking of these mystery contracts that I'm really not aware of, that people are getting sole sourced and nobody really wants to say. I'm not sure what to do with that.
And I don't know that's even aware of full sourcing and. Yeah, I've never seen anything that came up that looked sole source. But
No, I think it's individual stuff, so.
okay.
And so I will carry on. I'll make a motion that we leave it as.
That you provide administrative direction.
Yes,
For forward with policy.
yes, that sounds good. It's taken right out of my mouth.
Somebody make a motion?
Yes. Kyle, let
Sure, I'll make.
have you make the motion. Also will make the motion.
I'm also in favor.
Yes, all in favor. I'm never going to be in this position again. Okay, carrying on to 6.6 for waste stop installation at 2nd Ave and 2nd Street West.
so this is brought to my attention, council, if we can install a four-way stop at the intersection from the office. By accident, they already painted stop lines there as well, which, but I know that there's been talk online about this, some in favor, some against. So it's looking for direction from council, if they think that's a good idea or a bad idea.
I have to admit, I think I brought this forward, following a discussion with, some residents that were concerned about the safety downtown. I know, well, I live 2 blocks north, and so a lot of times we hear people revving their engines and speeding, from the last stop sign heading west. And the last block then is, maybe not as safe as possible for some people that are looking to cross or trying to back up. And part of the beautification project, my understanding was to bring more people downtown. And if that is going to be successful in doing that, then perhaps a stop sign. So there's 3 stops along the way. Will reduce the people coming in from the west, heading east, and they would have to stop before they enter our downtown, and obviously then slow down until the next stop sign. And so, and going the other direction as well, heading west, then they would have to stop, and they don't have the opportunity to zip through and gain momentum down to Palliser Trail. So I brought this forward for that very reason. And I've had lots of people I've talked to that say they avoid that intersection because if they're going north and south, they can't see people. If vehicles are parked, angle parking, they can't see if there's any traffic coming from the east heading west. And so they avoid it altogether, or that they do have issues if there's vehicles parked to even cross at that intersection. So, any comment?
I think it's a terrible idea. I don't want any more stop signs there. It's going to be a false sense of security. The traffic control idea, instinctively some people will never do it, whether stop sign or not. They will roll the stop sign and they will just go through anyways. We've seen more infractions that way than speeding, in my mind. The bump outs that go out there have already helped do a little bit of traffic control as it narrows. People instinctively slow down. It helps pedestrians able to see further already, which was the whole reason it came up the first time years ago. They already get that extra 6, 7, 8 feet, whatever it is out there, to get closer, being able to see past those to cross safely. I would much prefer to just leave it the way it is and have no stop sign there.
And is that more for convenience or safety?
Okay, so if you're going to go safety, then it has to be at every intersection. It's finding a balance. You're going to go 100%
Not every
safety.
intersection. There's other, as we already know from the construction, for the alternate routes that we had to take, there are certain avenues that have stop signs, not every block. And if there's only the stop sign every block within our downtown, would it not be safer than we've already seen where the bump outs are not slowing some people down and they still race by? And I would personally, I would rather see it being safer, 5 minutes or whatever to stop at a stop sign or less. If they don't want to do the 4-way or the 3 4-way stops, then there are already other routes they could take. I know if I don't want to, I go down Railway Avenue. I know it's not the greatest, but then I don't have to stop. But
in my mind, it's just a false sense of security. I don't think it'll alleviate anything. There was discussion of reducing speed on those few blocks. I have no problem putting up even just a reduced speed sign, even without a number. But if you're going to say people don't listen to signage,
yeah, they don't.
then I'm not sure what a stop sign would do.
They don't pay attention to stop signs either. So they're going to pay attention to 30 kilometers.
We already had the pedestrian light there. And that was.
Yeah, that was a dog show.
You know.
But this is a 4th stop.
Yeah.
Versus something that looked like.
I know if there's another 4-way stop put in them 2 blocks, I will only go whatever building I have to go to do business. I will not drive down that road any other time than if I have a purpose to be there. And that's my opinion. That's me personally. I mean, but that's just.
Well, and I guess as far as a liability, it's being proactive to make it safe and not have wait until an accident does happen. And I guess that was
been like this for the last 100 years, 112 years.
Yeah, but things change in a time frame where.
Well, you could have been trampled by a horse. You know, I mean, they had laws they had to follow.
Yeah, we know how that goes too, so. Anyways, I brought it forward, and so that was sort of on a safety and planning for the future, that if we do have lots of people down there, that nobody is gonna be, the first victim of a careless driver. Any other comments at all? Councilor Murphy?
I don't think it'll make any difference whatsoever. To have a full stop there, because it's never been there. Stop when they shouldn't, people blow through it when they should. You make any changes, as you know, people still refer to the men's clothing store on Third, and I'm going, there's never been a men's clothing store on Third that I'm aware of, but because you talk about what's happened in the past. So really, we've made it brighter, really nice, clean lines. The sidewalks come out more, so it's really easy for pedestrians. Speeders will speed, and this won't make any difference, just like the speed bumps didn't help slow down people. So what we need is to really make sure that enforcement is catching those few that are going 80 kilometers an hour down the street. I live on Second Ave. I hear them all the time because I'm right on that area. So, but it won't make any difference. So I don't think it's necessary.
Any other comments? Did you want to have any comments?
You know, I come from a country where they put speed bumps down every road because people race, right? So you can't drive down any road without hitting like 10 speed bumps. But you have a lot of bar racers, and so you have to adopt what you do for your community. If this community has a lot of people, say that it's a start, but are people going to do it? Like the people, like the bar racers, are probably pay no attention to it. The careful drivers, they'll stop and do their thing. So
Yeah.
it's, you know.
Well, and we've already seen, some have already, squealed their tires and marked some of our crosswalks anyway, so it doesn't matter what you do. I think that.
Well, stop signs make that worse than standing.
Well, I'm just doing it because there's seniors that are concerned, as well as other people that are trying to access that route. And, you know, I guess I'm hopeful that our downtown beautification will attract lots of people, and we'll still have those inconsiderate drivers that don't pay attention. So, having said that,
So again, do you want that brought to council, or is it not council's direction to bring that?
Probably should when everybody's here.
Yeah.
yeah, I think because it had been requested by some resident, it would be nice to have a vote on it, if we could possibly.
Council, the sergeant here would be nice, so he could tell us whether or not there's an enforcement issue. 1 second.
Well, I think there.
If he had seen speeding at these, then
Yeah,
Well, or if they'll actually do something. Anyways, okay. Okay, so we will make a motion. Can I have somebody make a motion that we will bring this back to have a vote on it for the full council? Thank you, Councilor Murphy. All in favor? Carried. 6.7, Town of Hanna Bylaw Peace Officer Program. I understand then that Mr. Matthew will comment on this topic.
Yeah, so as you're aware, we don't have a bylaw / peace officer anymore looking for the town. So we're just here, like, we'll have to replace that position. We have, you know, like I mentioned earlier, we have Dave, Brent, dealing with some of the issues that we can. So it's what direction council wants us to move forward in. Do you want to continue the pursuit of a peace officer in the town, or is your goals for the municipality, can they be achieved by a bylaw officer?
Councilor Paul.
I think we should go with bylaw officer, that peace officer. I mean, you gotta have somebody that. You're the more personal and everything else. I mean. You can't have somebody that's out there. Think they got the authority, they can do this and they can do that, and they're gonna do it. And we don't really need somebody from out of town. That's, I mean, somebody that knows the locals, know what they're dealing with and who they're dealing with. I think will do a whole lot more of a job than a peace officer. Like, we've got this $15,000 car with peace officer written all over it or whatever. Sell it.
Maybe if we find out what's the difference between the two. Could you expand on that? What was the advantage of going?
It's writing the tickets and what information that they can gather as a peace officer. Those are two of the main things. There's a variety, but it's what your goals are as council, what you want to enforce. There's some private properties, things like that. You don't need a peace officer for that. If you want to chase down speeders and things like that, then you're going to want a peace officer.
I don't think the citizens of Hanna, for one thing, are going to appreciate peace officer pulling them over and trying to give them a ticket for seatbelts or for failing to totally stop at a stop sign. I mean, that's the RCMP's jurisdiction. Let them handle it. A bylaw officer is a bylaw officer. All they gotta do is follow those guidelines and enforce them. It's a whole lot simpler.
And it with a good bylaw officer who develops a good rapport with the RCMP, because we kept hearing, but I can't enforce. If you have a healthy relationship with the RCMP, a bylaw enforcement officer can give them a call and say, I need some help tracking down this license plate because this guy's been parked on the street for 3 months and we need to get rid of it. That's easy to do, but our experience was someone who'd say, I can't. And that's not the case. So I totally agree. I don't think we need a peace officer, but we need a bylaw enforcement officer who has a good relationship with the RCMP.
Well, and I think also wants to make a good relationship with the resident.
With the residents. Absolutely.
The verbal ahead of time, then pushing your weight around or something that, maybe it's a matter of educating the individual that may not be aware.
Completely. Education, empathy. It's a tough time out there. People are financially distressed, which causes depression. They may not be taking care of things because they're in physical illness. Understanding that about your community shows compassion. And then perhaps, we can work on getting a volunteer to come. And these are things a bylaw enforcement officer could do and develop a relationship with a group of volunteers who, like we do with the snow angels, and get this person help instead of just enforcement. I think that would be how a good community should work. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Councilor Olson, do you have any comment?
Yeah, I like the idea of a contract by law enforcement. The vehicle, whether we just rip the decals off of it, or a vehicle for another position.
Yeah.
The contract part-time works. I think it's an appropriate amount. We have for 2.5 days a week, basically. Winter, I suspect is going to be a little quieter. And we could probably survive winter with just having, current staff, door knockers on sidewalks and that type of work. Then we'll just need the bylaw portfolio, which is part of our development officer contract. I'm sure he'll be a big fan. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll find the right person out there. I hope.
Okay, so you're good with for us to advertise the job again and keep the vehicle and rebranded?
Yeah.
Was there any request by the RCMP to want to have a peace officer?
No,
Or to work
I'm not
with
aware of that. I don't know what your original discussions were, where you felt you needed a peace officer.
It was expressed to us at a council meeting that a bylaw officer can't exist anymore.
Yeah.
No.
That's a struggle now to hear that it's an officer. It was very clear to us that it was a peace officer and there were different levels of peace officer. So
So we asked that when on and I, when we were at the conference, if that was the case, because I wasn't aware of that. And I know for the municipalities, it's strictly a bylaw. And we were told that that's not the case.
We were kind of, we were misled. That makes me crazy.
Okay, so I will ask for someone to make a motion that we bring this back to a council meeting and deal with the bylaw position and such, and address the vehicle appropriately. Councilor Crowe, all in favor? Carried.
I need to even remove the word peace and put bylaw officer and let them use that vehicle. There is some level of respect that comes with having.
it's still one of the marks.
I don't know. I've worked with seniors will look at the window and how many times the RCMP go by. So if you have that visual thing, then people can see that the bylaw car is actually out there doing stuff. They
Yeah,
know
doing
that
stuff,
if it's just a blank truck that's going around, then they have no idea. And
That's a good point.
Then, like, I think even like a uniform, you know, or something that's recognized, but, you know, like, it's like a fireman's suit or, you know, or dress or whatever.
they will get a bright pink one.
I forgot. Oh, all in favor? I thought I did. Oh, I think. No worries. Okay, thank you, everybody. Council roundtable. I'll start on this. Council Murphy, do you have anything you want to discuss?
No, I got to enjoy the Handhills Turkey Supper the other night. It's my first time going. It was wonderful. The 4-H kids were amazing and just a lovely time. No, that's about it.
Thank you. Councilor Olson,
I'm good.
he's good. Councilor Crowe.
I want to add, like, I attended a Vets Memorial Highway Association meeting on Friday up at Black Labish. We've been trying to have it up there for the last 6 months, 8 months. Finally, we got it going, and it was a very successful meeting. We got our pamphlets that we've been waiting for well over a year, like probably 2 years. And I've got a box full that I distributed throughout the town.
So our stuff isn't updated then?
Probably not. I
No,
don't know.
because I've tried working with them and
Yeah, it was signed.
we thought it wasn't gonna fly. I thought the brochure wasn't being printed.
No, we're in here. And we got, you know, they admit they had a meeting, chairman had a meeting, and secretary treasurer, I guess, had a meeting with the Minister of Transportation and with the Premier. And they were informed that anything east of Highway 2 is not a priority to any improvements. Like Highway 36 has a lot of safety issues on it.
Everything east of Highway 2.
Yeah.
Which is where all of the heavy equipment moves. Every single piece is east of Highway 2. Wow.
Yeah. And like, the only thing that we've had maybe progress on is we've got a hold of CN Rail at Killam. If you park at stop sign, you got a B train on, your last car or trailer is partially on the railway crossing.
Ooh.
CN figures they can come up with a solution, but Alberta Transportation has no interest. And that's the main highway from Coots all the way to Port McMurray.
It's the main highway.
And it's a
Veterans Memorial all the way there.
main highway, like main corridor for high and wide loads.
Yep.
It's the second one. Number 2 is the first one, but
And I thought there was at one point that they were trying to develop the east access into Alberta from the States. And I think it was PEP, I'm not 100% sure, but I thought it was shorter for heavy haulers or big haulers to go to the east access versus going to Coutts. And it would lighten that load for Highway 2 traffic to expand that.
So that would be the one near
if they
Medicine.
go east, then they end up on Highway 41. They don't come over to, well, some do come to Highway 36, but the crossing east of Coutts is only from like 10 in the morning till 6 in the afternoon or evening, sort of thing. So they're trying to get that to go 24 hours also.
And I think the American side is more developed than the Canadians. Alberta side, just for that route, it would be nice to be able to, interesting.
Pass them on, please. Pass.
Anything else? How about we put it on here and everyone can pick it up?
Yeah.
And,
I guess keep something.
anything else? Right?
No, I also attended that. Thank you. And just attended. Pretty tougher. It's like you say, it's amazing how those young guys are out there volunteering, Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you.
It's a pretty strong community, and I mean, been going on for, I know 65 years probably.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I just want to bring up, I think I shared the information that came from AUC regarding PACE questions and answers. I did. I think I shared it to all the councils. Did you?
I don't think I got that from you.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I think I should. Yeah. Anyway, so I will give you a copy. I thought I had. Anyways, I also attended the Hand Hills as well, and the Chamber of Commerce Awards night. And thank you very much to the town of Hanna for sponsoring one of the areas. It was quite a nice night, and it was nice to see the people that did get awards. And Chamber of Commerce has gotten their pictures, and so now they'll be getting information out there a little bit afterwards. And we have some wonderful businesses in our community and participation and that sort of thing. It was very nice. I also the Canada Summer Jobs Grant. I think there was some wondering whether or not the town wanted to look after VIC or whether they wanted it to go through Harvest Sky Economic Development again. And if so, there has been a change in the Canadian Summer Jobs Grant application date, and the information I've gotten, thanks to DeRay Vino from Links, November 18th to December 19th, when the application date will close for summer jobs.
Ooh, that's early.
Yeah, they moved it up a fair bit. And so I guess if town wants to look after it, then they need to apply for summer jobs for that position. If they want Harvest Sky to look after that, then they need to know so that they can apply for that grant as well. And I think Harvest Sky has been doing it the last couple of years. And so they just need that decision from the town, I guess. Did Thomas have anything to add regarding that? Or?
Yeah, me and Matthew have
You guys have discussed
it briefly. We were gonna wait and see.
Okay. I just thought I'd bring it up because
Thank you. Right now, the only concern is I am not hooked on to those government accounts here. I need to get that set up. Matthew has gotten into it. Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, when I spoke to Thomas, it doesn't look like the town's been successful in getting those in the last few years.
Yeah.
I thought they might see us as being okay, that we don't need that money. So I thought it would be better if he applied separately instead of being grouped into those where they might just, you know, because I know in my last job, it was a small tour place and we got the money every year. So I think if that's their evaluation of who they're giving money to, then it's going to be a struggle. So if you guys need it, I would recommend that you apply on your own.
Well, that's what I had wondered as well, because Harvest Sky did get that funding and the town didn't, so they may be more successful in that application, so.
No, upon your guys' request, Harvest Sky for sure be willing to do that again.
Do we need some vote on it by council, or just carry on with the way they've been doing?
We just carry on. I don't think you need that.
Okay.
If Harvest Sky is willing to do that, and everything to them, we're
That means
quite willing and happy to let them do that, because we just don't have the staff resources.
Yeah.
No, town applies for the summer jobs every year, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly what those dollars.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been denied for a couple of years now, which is highly unusual. Usually always accepted.
But you keep trying, because
Yeah.
they'll actually think, oh, see, they don't need it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, and also with Harvest Sky, the space over in this other section is available to rent. Yeah.
So where are you now?
I'm in Lynx now, so I'm not all by my lonesome.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, we were concerned that he was going to be isolated and not have that water cooler discussion.
Yeah.
On a personal note, regarding the Hanna Roundhouse Society, we've been given lots of criticism regarding grants that we get from the town. That grant really is not a grant. As a provincial historic resource, we are exempt of paying property tax. And so that was a way that the previous CAO, and I'm not throwing him under the bus, but we had discussed that instead of the town having to apply for that money that we would not be charged, we would leave it that way as a grant. So we, I do have a copy of our charitable status. We are a nonprofit and own property, and in the property tax exemption in Alberta, it does state that nonprofit, charitable and benevolent purposes must benefit the general public and local community where the necessary levels of benefit go back into that project. Resources of the nonprofit organization must be directed chiefly to the purposes for which the property is used, and all of ours does. And so we would like to respectfully decline grants anymore because of the negative feedback we've been getting from the public. We're just tired of being accused of stopping in, and we will be making that request that we no longer receive a grant from the town of Hanna. And
Just because of some people's complaints?
just because of the negative feedback we're getting, I think we're tired of it. And, you know, we volunteer thousands of hours out there, and we're just done with it.
It's not a town. What's the town's procedure then has to go through, administration has to go through a big application to?
I don't know.
I think I'm all from this link to this grant living tax, because
Yeah.
it's an automatic.
Yeah. Whatever this tax.
Take off the
And so I don't think we're also required to pay school taxes or Acadia Foundation. I'm not 100% on that, but as far as property taxes, we are.
We just did the town part.
The town portion is all that is what we received. We still paid the Acadia Foundation on the school taxes, and I have to check and see if we have to pay those other two or not. And it's just, we're done with it. And so please give that money to somebody else, because we respectfully decline it and have appreciated that in the past. So I have nothing else. Does anybody else have anything else, or can I adjourn this meeting? I would like to make a motion to accept the council roundtable. No, I don't. Adjourn. Can I move it? We adjourn? Thank God. And my apologies.